I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. We welcome Adrissara to the show. Hi.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here. Very excited. Thank you so much for having me.
No, I'm glad you came on. Glad we could get you out of the castle. And I know that the internet isn't great through those walls, so I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, I have to use a Wi-Fi booster for sure.
Oh my gosh. So tell us a little about yourself. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Sure. So I am a VTuber, obviously. I'm a vampire VTuber, and I really like horror. I don't do necessarily exclusively horror because sometimes I think we need a little break, something funny, something. I like to be funny on my streams, but sometimes the content like to make it a little lighter.
Yeah.
But we do mostly horror. And I just like to have a good time and chat with my viewers and chill and hopefully I won't bite you, but no, I'm kidding.
Well, not unless you get to know them first. I mean, it is 2025. You never know what these people have.
Exactly, and you got to ask first too.
Oh yes, it's hard to wear a mask when you're a vampire.
Exactly.
Oh, that was one of the stupidest things I've ever said. And you were here for it. Congratulations. When did you get started with the VTubing, and why did you get started?
So I got started a little bit over a year ago. I just celebrated my affiliate anniversary, so that's pretty cool.
Congratulations.
I got started. Oh, thank you. I got started because I wanted to stream, but I also was like, I want to be a fun character. I don't really want to show my face. Just because I've heard horror stories of people saying something maybe that could be taken out of context and then their work finds out about it and then it's this crazy thing.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And among other horror stories, yes.
Yes. So I said, you know what? I want to distance myself a little bit, from, where I don't dox myself or anything like that. I do tell people relatively where I live in the country just because we get some crazy weather. So I talk about that a lot because I'm always cold. So I'm from the Midwest and it's like, oh my goodness, we've had some cold snaps, but
we've had a few of them this year. Yes,
so
we have. It has definitely been like that so far this year. But maybe some of those bugs will be killed this year instead of coming out in February and being as big as houses. That would be nice.
Oh, I hope so, because I do not like bugs. I tell you what, my boyfriend and I take turns with spiders. We're like, all right, whose turn is it?
Well, the spiders by the end of the summer are huge. There's just so much.
Yeah, especially when you live by a pond.
Yes. so much for them to eat. By the time they're done, they're fishing. They're pulling in channel catfish and stuff like that. But so really, you got started to kind of you wanted to be on. You wanted to kind of give us an escape, but you made it an entire escape, really.
Yeah, I did. I really wanted to. Now I have some lore, but I typically am just kind of myself. Like I don't necessarily play a character.
Yeah.
It's just kind of me through the lens of an anime character, basically.
Right.
And that's fun to me. I really like that. And that's what I wanted to get into doing. And working on, like, I haven't taken any lessons or anything, but working on some voice acting and stuff like that. I think it's really fun. Yeah. So it's kind of perfect.
Absolutely perfect. And not only that, not only are you doing something that you're enjoying, but obviously, folks are tuning in to enjoy it too. How does that make you feel?
That makes me feel great. I'm just starting out, so I don't have like the largest following, but what I can say is those who are following me they're just wonderful people. And they tune into almost every stream. They're always chatting. If they have to lurk for a little bit, they'll tell me.
Yeah.
So they just like to let me know. But it's great. I mean, they really love what I do and I love what I do. So it makes me so happy. It energizes me when they show up and it's really, really great.
Was it tough for you to turn that microphone on and really step into it, or have you been in front of audiences before?
So I have been in front of audiences before. I was in a band when I was in high school.
Oh,
So I would actually sing, believe it or not.
was this
And
was this the
I was
Bangles?
scared every time.
Were you in the Bangles?
I know who that is, but I was not. We actually played, funny enough, we played a lot of Beatles music
Oh, cool. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
our guitar teacher taught us that.
Yeah.
So
Were you doing the garage band stuff, or what were you playing?
so we were playing, I mean, we ran the gambit with all the Beatles songs and
Yeah.
we did some Oasis because you got to do Oasis when you
Right.
play acoustic guitar. You got to play Wonderwall. You have
Yeah,
to.
you have to. Yeah. It's the same thing as like in the 80s, when a band came up, they had to play Tommy Two Tone's Jenny. They absolutely had to play that because everybody knew what it was, and it was real easy to play. So you absolutely have to play it. Here's Jenny. Okay, we'll get it over with now. Okay, and the next song.
Right, exactly. Like here's Wonderwall, we're gonna do it, and then we're gonna move on to some more other stuff
That's
that
right.
people really want to hear. I know people don't always like Wonderwall. I kind of really enjoy it.
Yeah,
But that's just me.
yeah.
Like sometimes I like things that not everyone else likes, but
Oh,
I get it. Like to each their own, you know.
that's true. Now, which instrument did you play?
I played acoustic guitar.
Oh, ooh, okay. Oh, yeah. That is something I'll never be able to do because I don't know which hand I would play it with. I'm
Okay.
partially left-handed and partially right-handed, which means I'm not very good at either. I
That
call
would
it
be tricky to figure out. I bet you could do it though.
I call it ambidextrous. I drop things with both hands.
I've never heard that phrase before. I like that though.
Yes,
That's funny.
yes. If I play darts, if I want it to go straight, I throw it left-handed, but it might come up short. If I wanted to make it there, I throw it right-handed, but I might hurt a waitress in the process. Whee! They don't let you do set shots in darts. But how far did you take the band?
So we did it for a couple years. I would say maybe about three or so.
Hmm.
And then I just kind of hit a point where I was like, this isn't bringing me as much joy as it used to.
Yeah.
And I was kind of going off to college and it was one of those things where we kind of just disbanded for a couple reasons. Everybody was kind of like, oh, we're kind of moving on. We're
Mm,
getting ready for all these big things and
yeah.
we're moving and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
So I haven't picked up a guitar in many years, but
Oh. You
I
ever
do
get
sing to myself
you ever,
sometimes.
you ever get that itch to do it though?
I get the itch to sing, actually,
Mm.
not the itch to play the guitar. I'm kind of like, if I played it, my fingers would hurt pretty bad because you got to build up those
Oh,
calluses.
absolutely. I hate to bring this back to old stories again, but I worked with a fellow who was he was in his 80s at the time, and you couldn't tell by talking to
Okay.
him. And he was a stand-up bass player in jazz bands, and his fingers were just had bulbs at the end from all the calluses from the stand-up bass, and he would every once in a while go out and play, and he'd come back and he'd have band-aids all over his fingers because
I believe it.
those
I
calluses
totally do.
would be just gone, and then there was nothing left but stubs. I could definitely understand what you're talking about with building the calluses back, as far as that goes. So, what types of stuff are you going to do? A bunch of covers here soon?
Oh gosh. I have thought about it.
Hmm.
I think it's a little tricky sometimes with like the copyright
Yeah,
stuff. It can be a
yeah,
little bit murky at times. It can
yeah.
be very clear cut at times. So I kind of stay away from that just so I don't get the copyright strikes, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure it out because I would love to do some type of cover or something just for fun. I've seen other people do it, and I think it would be really a cool piece of content and just something different for me
Hmm.
that I haven't done before.
Oh, I'd love to hear it. So we're going to be doing two music shows a year. We did two last year, um, involving guests that we've had on the show. So when you do get one down there, let me know so I can promote it into this show, please. Um,
Of course, I'll
yeah,
let you know.
yeah, because it's just fun for me to hear so many talented people get this opportunity to come on and show what they've got to people. I say 20 years ago, this wasn't possible. Um, 10 years ago, maybe it was possible, but it would sound like garbage. And they're trying to do it down a NES compute controller or something. But now there's so much technology available for people to do it, and once you would do something like that, suddenly the entire world has a chance to hear it.
Definitely. Yeah, it's crazy just the technology that we have, like the way that I can be a VTuber if I
Hmm.
want
Yeah,
and download these things and set up this desk and all that just from my home. I
yeah,
mean, it's crazy what
yeah,
we've got now.
yeah, and you're able to talk to and have an audience with somebody standing upside down on the other side of the world, if you want
Yeah.
to. Um, when you started it, was that something that even crossed your mind?
It kind of didn't. I didn't really think about it much. I was kind of more so just, this is something I want to do. I want to play games. I want to talk to people.
Hmm.
But I didn't really think about kind of like, oh, I could have a global reach. Like this is larger than just kind of where I'm at.
Hmm.
But I'm seeing that now with some people that I'm starting to become friends with. Like
Yeah.
I'm friends with somebody from Wales. Like
Yes.
I never would have thought. Like, and we play games together like outside of stream. Like it's just wild to me.
Yeah, I just interviewed somebody from Wales earlier today. That's pretty funny. Um,
Oh, no way.
yeah, yeah. That's up on just going to be the one right before this one on the
All
channel.
right.
But again, yeah, talking with everybody across the world. When I was in radio in the '80s, not possible. Not possible. It would have cost $1 zillion because of the phones, and back then, every long distance call cost a lot of money. And then it would have sounded like, you know, somebody yelling into a tin can 3 miles away. It would have just been
Oh gosh. I
not
can't even
worth the
imagine.
effort. Not worth the effort whatsoever. But now I can just pick up a microphone in the back room of my place and go. And here we are. Um, Pretty cool. Now, with the introduction, getting into the VTubing, have you found some other folks that you've been able to collaborate with, or have you done much of that yet?
So I'm kind of working on that. One of the things that I would like to do first, like if I want to collaborate with someone, I want to get to know them first.
Hmm.
So that way, we've got a rapport both on and off stream.
Hmm.
Because that way, we're not just hopping on. We haven't really talked to each other. And it's like maybe it'll go well, maybe it won't. But I really like to get to know people. So I'm kind of working on the networking, making some friends, and just kind of playing off stream and getting to know people outside of their own streams.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. And as more and more people start doing it, the personalities are different more and more. And you never know. I mean, it's true that you can, no matter what type of thing you're trying to do, and you have a partner doing it, sometimes it just doesn't work. And it's not anybody's fault.
Right.
There's just no chemistry there. And it comes out like one of those major motion pictures with two big stars that everybody's miserable watching.
Oh, I've seen a couple of those. I
Yeah.
can't tell you exactly which ones because I can't think of off the top of my head, but I know I've seen that.
Yeah, those are the ones I try to forget as much as possible.
Yeah, and I must have.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So what game are you streaming right now?
So I typically will pick a couple of games,
Hmm.
because I don't like to do the same one every time, just because I don't stream for a whole lot of hours each time. I usually do about 2 hours each time.
Yeah.
So it'll take me longer to get through games, which is kind of great because then I don't have to pay for as many games, but I do have at least 100 in my library.
You're thinking ahead
Um,
here.
oh yes. And I'm currently playing the Resident Evil 2 remake,
Hmm.
Silent Hill 2 remake, and Final Fantasy 15.
Well, you got
So little blend.
two horrors and not necessarily a horror at all.
Definitely not. The way it's described is an emo boy road trip, and that is totally what it is. That game is exactly what it sounds like. It's fun.
But
It's very fun.
the other two are classic, titles for horror.
Oh, yes.
Um, so I got to ask you, and I'm not a big horror guy myself, so I have to ask folks who are horror folks. Do you prefer a horror game that gives you a lot of attempted jump scares, or would you rather play the horror game that plays the long con with the horror?
Ooh, because I do like both, but I will pick an answer, and it is jump scares.
Mm.
I love jump scares. I'll start laughing. I think they're funny, like when I get scared and what might come out of my mouth. Because sometimes it gets creative. Like I don't always swear a whole lot on my streams.
Yes,
They are for like 18 plus though, just because of the content
right.
and I'm over 18, so I'm like, okay, like everything's 18 plus,
Yeah.
but I don't typically swear very much, so I'll say like really weird stuff because I'm not swearing and it just comes out of my mouth and it's hilarious. It's great.
Yeah, that would be something to hear. Even if you're ready for jump scares, sometimes they still hit you. If you know it's
Oh
coming
yeah.
and those type of things. Me, I don't know if I could deal with a whole lot of horror stuff. I haven't. I'm not one to watch horror movies too much. Now, I certainly respect those folks who can. I'll watch you.
Even I have my limits though, I'll tell you.
Oh, well. So, is your horror taste in as for the storyline or gore or gory storyline or what?
So I like a good storyline. I'm
Mm,
really big on that. If it's kind of gore for the sake of gore, I don't really like it.
mm,
This might be a hot take, but I could not get through if you're familiar with it or anyone who's listening is familiar with it. I could not get through the Terrifier series. I
mm.
watched the first one and had to close my eyes a couple times. Like
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
yeah.
It was so gratuitous. Like I just
Yeah.
no.
Well, there's,
But yet I'll watch a zombie movie. So
yeah,
it's kind of like it just depends. If it really like fits the story, like a zombie story, of course, like there's gonna be gore and all that, or Evil Dead, for example. Like
yeah, yeah,
I love the Evil Dead movies, both
yeah,
remake and original. And there's a lot of gore in those, but I
yeah,
feel like it fits the story pretty well. So
yeah. When you just
I'm more kind of
when you when stuff is just done for shock value like that for me, it just means that they didn't really like the movie, so they're just kind of trying to pad it out.
right. Like
Yeah,
they got a watery story and it's just not quite there. So they're going to shock you instead. So you
yeah,
forget that it's not well written.
yeah. Whoa! I certainly remember that movie because of this scene. I don't know what the plot was or who was in it, but I remember that scene.
But it might have been a good scene.
Yes, that scene's going to win a Grammy or the loudest scream that I made watching it. Um, so
right.
so if I was to say ask you about your favorite horror movie, which would it be?
Ooh, okay. So I've got a few that I'm thinking about,
Mm,
but I will say it's definitely lighter
mm.
on the horror aspects. I do really love The Lost Boys.
Well,
That's one of my favorite movies,
yeah,
just in general.
yeah. That's I wouldn't really call that a horror classic, but okay.
Yeah, it's got some elements, but it's not quite there. Otherwise, I would say probably Evil Dead. I really like Evil Dead and Bruce Campbell. I've met Bruce Campbell. He's a great guy.
Yeah,
But I like the Evil Dead
yeah,
stuff quite a bit.
yeah. It's hard not to like Bruce Campbell. I mean, even when he was doing the old Briscoe County show early on, I enjoyed watching it. And that got cut off way too early. But it also
I
gave,
heard about that. I
yeah,
haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
it was very silly, but, but it was
I
fun.
love that stuff though.
It was fun. It was very fun. Um, so now that you've got yourself kind of on the ground, both feet on the ground, you've seen the direction you're going with the channel. Are there any goals you've set for yourself this year?
So I would like to have a more consistent streaming schedule. That's
Yeah,
one goal I have.
yeah, yeah.
I tend to have a lot of personal stuff come up, so sometimes it can be a little tricky.
Hmm.
But I definitely want to get that in a better spot.
Hmm.
And just be more consistent with things and kind of getting my YouTube videos out faster, the highlights,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, just kind of more like, tweaks of maintenance and things like that.
Hmm.
Maybe a cover song at some point this year. Um, but, really just engaging with my community as well.
Yeah.
I've got a couple people in my Discord that are really fun to talk to, and I just really want to engage with them more like off stream and play games and kind of really engage with the community in that way.
Yeah. And so, how has this affected you off the computer? I mean, has your interaction with people online affected anything that you do offline? Has anything carried over?
I would say some of the confidence has carried over,
Mm.
just from, being on that stream, being the center of attention, and then having to basically like kind of perform,
Oh yeah.
and I take that and I try to channel that just in my regular life as I'm walking around, as my non-vampiric self.
You
And,
have to be in the sunlight sometime,
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
I do burn easily though, so I do have to be careful. Literally, I do, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
So people have called me a vampire before,
Yeah.
but I digress.
I can tell you, when I get out in the sun, it feels like I've got a blanket over me because um, vitamin D and I do not get along. After many, many overnights I worked as a young person, vitamin D is not my friend. But I can understand that, and you kind of got a chance to develop and create your own world, and it's you are the one in control of it. Um, that I think would automatically give you a little bit more confidence in yourself if things are going well.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Yeah. Um, have you kind of thought of it as your world building this particular uh, this particular VTuber type thing? Is it world building for you?
It is. I like to be really creative. I used to write a lot more, so I would do like actual like world building on
Hmm.
paper.
Yeah.
And I feel like that VTubing is very akin to that. Like some VTubers, they have, this really deep lore
Yeah.
and they are the character.
Hmm.
They talk the way their character would talk. Like for me, again, it's more so just me projecting myself, like my true self through
Right.
the animation, basically,
Yeah.
the model.
Yeah.
But I do see it as world building because I'm building an audience. I'm building this world of, okay, I like to play horror,
Hmm.
but we get a little lighter sometimes
Well,
because horror all the time, it's like, ooh, for me, it's a lot. So I'm like, okay, but my audience likes that.
yeah.
And I sometimes will ask them too, like, what do you want to see? So they help kind of build it with me in
Okay.
that way.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that explanation. And with this, you get the chance to, as some people have said, about this. You get to be more yourself than you can otherwise. You
Yeah.
kind of have that little shield in front of you with the avatar and model, but otherwise you get to do that slightly risky thing that you wouldn't do in public.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I definitely, never want to say anything too crazy or, but I do really get into it and I talk a lot. And there was this clip of me that one of my viewers took,
Hmm.
and I thought it was so funny. It was me just like beating the crap out of this monster, and I just kept talking. And I was talking about like Taco Bell. And so I talked about, like, I literally titled it, I will literally speak through anything.
You doing all these?
That's a lot of my channel. It's like no matter what's going on, it might be really scary, and I'm talking about how I want a Baja Blast from Taco Bell or how much I love the $5 box from Taco Bell. Not sponsored, but I just,
Yet.
you know,
Yet. But yeah,
yeah,
I can just see you pulling off like six move combinations that are well practiced, and you have to be doing this game for like 6 years in order to even think about doing. And you're talking about, I didn't get enough cheese in my burrito.
that is very me. Yes, I'm kind of all over the place. Like I'll think of something to talk about and I'll just do it, and it might not match the game that I'm playing, but people love it, and I love my chat, and we have a really good time.
It's a really good way to go about this too, because a lot of those games I imagine you're playing, you can't really pause and then get into a deep conversation with somebody in chat because you're first of all somebody's trying to eat you, and
Right,
and they're going to
exactly.
keep doing it. So you're kind of keeping up a conversation uh, when on one side of your brain while beating up the monster the other side of your brain.
Yes, and I do my best to watch chat. So I don't have like the largest chat, so it
Hmm.
actually is easier to watch it
Hmm.
because I don't have, 100 people just like going like crazy when you see with these larger streamers how
Oh,
it's like I don't even know how they watch their chat. I mean, I know they have mods, but
yeah, that's why they have the super chat things. Oh, there I
yes,
can
exactly.
I can check that one as it goes
Highlight my
by.
message.
Yes, scream out my message, please.
Yes.
So when you do get the jump scare and you do hit the scream, how often have you broken your headset or your
So I
eardrums?
have not actually. I typically won't move
Yeah.
very much. Like I'll kind of my body will freeze a little bit and then just something will come out of my mouth. Like I'll either go like ah
Yeah.
or like fudge on a stick is like what I sometimes will say stuff like that. Um, you know, I learned that one from one of my best high school friends. We used to play video games together, and
Yeah.
my little siblings would kind of be around a little bit, so we couldn't say things that we wanted to. So I kind of picked up some weird habits from that.
Oh no, no, you're managing to
I like to
temper
be
yourself.
creative.
Yes, exactly. So you're not blasting your own headset off of you when you're yelling or anything like that.
No, definitely not. No. But maybe someday, if a game can get me that bad, I'm like I see that as a challenge. I'm like, come on, games, make it that bad.
I can see you jumping, you getting a jump scare that just absolutely, you just screamed so loud that you practically knock yourself out, and you're just kind of laying there, in your chair, back lolling with those swirly eyes you see in the animes.
Oh, right. I mean, I take it as a challenge. I'll play something that scary. I mean, I love just the a little bit of like adrenaline that you get, and then when you turn it off, it's like, I'm calm now. I don't have to deal with that. It's not real. Like, it's okay.
Yes,
So to kind of go up and then go back down.
and it's the down part that makes the up worthwhile. Now, have you done or thought about doing any karaoke stream?
I've thought about it. I would need to look a little bit more into some of the logistics behind it.
Yeah.
There's a couple people that I want to talk to behind the scenes of like how do they do it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I've kind of thought about doing a little bit of a variety with that.
Yeah.
I just got to figure out how, like the best way to do it so you don't get, again, those copyright strikes and stuff. Like they like to get you.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you're doing it and you're putting it up on YouTube afterwards. It's
Right.
Yeah. You might be able to slip by doing it live because maybe somebody didn't see you.
Exactly.
But
Hmm.
once you're once you've got it up there for people to be able to come back and look at it, it's a little bit different story. And
Hmm.
I'm talking about a guy who filled out a lot of music forms over my radio career. Or for a while
I
there,
gotcha.
I was in charge of the ASCAP BMI stuff for my radio stations for a long time, and that was not a lot of fun. But it can be pretty. If you can find a good groove with that in the songs you like to sing, then it'll be very easy for you. I imagine once you get started with something like that. But if I
Oh,
was
for
to,
sure. You gotta get over the hump of doing it the first time, and
yes.
then you got it.
So if I were to say come up, if I were to give you a piece of paper with 1 to 15 on it, could you come up with 15 songs you'd want to sing?
I think I probably could. I would have to look through my Spotify,
Mm-hmm.
like just to, because sometimes I'll make like a playlist of stuff I would do at like in real life karaoke.
Yeah.
Um, the number one song though, if you want to know, that I would do
Yeah.
is Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley because I want to Rick roll everyone in the place.
Start off
I
start
don't know
off
if
with
you're
a
familiar with that meme, but
yes. Start off with a different song and then just suddenly switch over to that.
exactly. Yes, gotta kind of get them reeled in, and then add in the unexpected, or maybe expected. I don't know.
That definitely counts as a jump scare.
I think it does, and it's definitely me. That's for sure. I never cared when people sent me stuff and it ended up being that song
Yeah.
instead of what they told me it was, because
Yeah.
I actually like the song unironically. So
So you foiled their plots and enjoyed yourself.
I did. I
Yes.
did. I
Uh,
never got mad at that.
that's cool. Now, obviously, you're enjoying yourself with this at this point. Um, has it all been positive for you so far?
For the most part, I think it can be a little tricky sometimes planning out your streams
Mm.
as far as like, okay, I'm going to stream at this time on this day. And then I just have to like hope that nothing else comes up family wise. I'm
Yeah.
very close with my family.
Yeah.
So, if they're like, hey, I really need your help,
Right.
then I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to stream. I can't help you.
Yeah. Well, that's the most important thing, obviously.
So,
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
I'm taking a little break here for about a week or so, just because I think you probably already know this because we were messaging, but I'm
Yeah.
doing some dog sitting. So
Yes.
I'm not at home, so I don't have my desktop. So I won't be streaming for a little bit. But
Yes. Yeah, I've got a coworker at my paying job that does dog sitting, and she likes it and she hates it, depending on which dog she's sitting.
yeah, yeah, right. It's fun. It's my mom's dog,
Yeah.
and she plays with my dog. So I brought my dog. So technically it's two dogs, but they did get me up at 5:30 this morning, and I'm not used to that. So,
that can hurt.
and it might be every day because
Yeah.
my stepdad usually gets up at 5:30.
Oh
So,
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. But
Yeah.
hey, it might get me in a better pattern for getting up early for my streams. I usually do Saturday and Sunday mornings. So,
So
um,
early Saturday and Sunday mornings?
usually like 10.
Mm.
It's not early, but
Well, for me it's early.
I could stand to get up earlier.
For me it's early. I don't usually exist on Saturday mornings.
I understand that. Yeah, I always definitely have to have my coffee beforehand
Yes.
and kind of wake up and like kind of get in the zone and like get ready to go and hop on. But
So
yeah,
when you're
it's
doing
fun though.
when you're doing it at 10 a.m., Um, where is your audience coming from? Do you know?
So again, one of them is from Wales.
Mm-hmm.
So for him, it's like 6 o'clock at night
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
So he is just kind of chilling, eating his dinner.
Yeah.
Other people, I don't know that they're in the time zone that I'm in.
Yeah.
But people definitely come in, usually a little bit later, sometimes like 11, I start to see a couple more people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on one of my goals actually that I forgot to mention is working on my average viewer
Yeah.
count. I know they tell you like don't look at it while you're streaming. But sometimes I will glance over for a second because
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Is anybody here? Okay. All right. Then let's keep going.
Yeah, I'm like, I just want to like gauge my energy level kind of based on like, should I save some energy? Should I
Yeah.
go all out? Like, I
Yeah.
just kind of want to know, kind of gauge a little bit based
Yeah.
on that.
Well, are you using your YouTube to promote the Twitch?
So I am a little behind on that,
Hmm.
but that is the goal,
Yeah.
to do that and do like highlight videos. It is tricky when you work a 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 in my case,
Yeah.
and then try to do this as well.
Yeah.
So you're coming home at night and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. I'm like, oh, I gotta do my YouTube. And
Yeah.
so I definitely with this new year, I'm like, we're gonna get some more of those videos out
Yeah.
because they're super fun. I did this really cool game a little while ago that I want to get up called mouth washing. You should look it up. It's
Oh,
pretty crazy.
I've heard about it. I've heard
And
about
I
it.
did some. Oh, you have heard of it?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it or played it. I'm not going to play it probably, but I'll certainly look into it.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely that kind of horror type game, I guess.
Mhm.
Like like horror type indie game, but
Yeah.
it's takes place in space and they don't really have voice acting. So I was reading everything in like different voices and people really liked it.
Good.
So I was like, okay, I want to get this up on YouTube because this will do really well, I think.
Yeah. In fact, put it in. Do something like that for a demo reel. We used to call them demo reels.
Yeah.
Demo tape. There's no reels anymore. Old man, what are you thinking of? They don't even.
Hey, I know what you mean.
Kids today don't even know what that means. But I'm glad you at least have an idea. But put some of that stuff in the demo because I mean you'd never know. You really never know. I interviewed a person here who sent in a blind demo where they didn't even know the part they were going for, and they ended up as the lead English actor on a fairly major anime because of it.
Wow.
Yeah, Admiral Trina, as a
That's
matter of fact,
awesome.
Trina Denhart. If you had a chance to listen to that interview, folks, I suggest you do. It she's great for one thing, but really, you never know who's listening. And the more you get people to listen to it, the more people will say, "Oh yeah, they're perfect for that part." So what I'm saying is, do it.
For sure.
Do it.
Hey, for sure. I definitely did some stuff in that stream that I was really proud of. I was doing some silly stuff.
Yeah.
I like to be silly. That's kind of my main thing. It's like, even though we're playing horror,
Yeah.
I like to be silly because that's very me. I'm a very happy person.
Yeah.
So I like to project that as like the crazy, scary stuff is going on.
Well, I tell you, Adrissara, it's absolutely wonderful to meet you and talk with you here. And once you get some of that stuff coming on up later this year, let me know. We'll come on again and we'll talk some more about the progress that you've had. Already great progress, I think. And folks need to check out what you got going on. We're going to have the links in the description for this interview. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. I loved it. This was a great time.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.